to the Kick and Show, the official podcast of KickingTheTires.net. I'm Jerry Jordan, editor of Kicking the Tires. Seth Eggert on location at GoPro Motorsplex. We will hear more about that. Hopefully Justin Marks is watching as well as Michael McDowell. Zach Catanzareti, I know you're in a hotel room and you're probably working on some kind of big time movie. Justin, you're always out on the West Coast in California. One day they're going to let you leave and actually go eat at a restaurant or something like that. So, before we get into everything we've got on the show, I'll give you a teaser. We've got Rick Ware Racing. We've got Darlington Test. Talks about, Reddick driving the new next gen car out there. We got Noah Gragson. We got Seth talking about iRacing. Justin, you're going to talk about Supercross in Atlanta. Big news in NASCAR today that I found out. NASCAR is going to move forward with opening up the garage and allowing media members, some, VIPs, sponsors, and I guess a few others. But there is a caveat. You must have the COVID vaccine in order to do that. This is going to take place at either Darlington or COTA here in Texas. So, it's not exactly what I wanted to hear because I kind of wanted to wait until I knew more about the vaccines because it is an experimental drug. But the fact that NASCAR is going to let us have better access to drivers and the team members themselves, even if we have to have this vaccine. I mean, they'll make accommodations if you don't get it. But look, at the end of the day, NASCAR is all about interaction, and we don't get the stories that we used to get because we're not talking to people. We're not in the garage. We're not seeing race cars firsthand. So, I begrudgingly, I have signed up for the COVID vaccine because I want to be in the garage and I want to be able to continue to promote Kicking the Tires. In other news, NASCAR also announcing that on May 5th, Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, the next gen car will be officially unveiled in Charlotte, North Carolina. Trying to decide who's going to be there to cover that, whether it's going to be me or Seth or Zach or a combination. I'm not going to worry about you because they won't let you leave your state, Justin.
Pretty much.
They got you on lockdown still. But, guys, what do y'all think about this new next-gen car and NASCAR announcing that, we're going to have more than two now. We're going to have, the teams are going to start making them, and we'll see Ford and Chevy and Toyota with their own versions of it.
Well, they're 2.5 years in the making, so it's about time we get to see them. I'm excited to see them because granted, Chevrolet's probably going to have the Camaro. Ford will probably still have the Mustang. But I'm curious to see what Toyota chooses, if they stick with the Mustang, with the Camry, or if they switch to the Supra.
That's a good point. I never even asked. I think they're going to stick with the Camry for right now because that is their flagship car, and they use the Supra in the Xfinity series. But I have heard some of those rumors that they might bring the Supra up. Justin, what are your thoughts? I know that you followed a little bit on this car when we had some photos last year and things of that nature when they actually built two of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They only built two of them, right? So my biggest thing is I want to see what these cars look like in a race. I'd like to see them put a fleet of 20 out there on a track and get, half the field out there. Maybe all the playoff drivers or those who didn't qualify for the playoffs go out and have a little fun race, 20, 30, 50 laps at some random track. We've seen these cars go out on a track one at a time, two at a time, maybe 4 or 5. But, you get to know more about the car, but, that's only half of NASCAR. The other half is racing. We want to see what these look like in race form. So it'll be interesting to see. I know the fans have been really excited. As Seth mentioned, it's been a long time coming. I think it was announced 4 years ago or so that they were rumoring this, and then they finally made the announcement they're working on it. Then it got delayed because of COVID, and now here's a new date coming up when they're going to reveal the car. So hopefully this one's set in stone and we can move forward with it. It'll be pretty exciting overall, though. I know a lot of the fans and drivers and teams have been looking forward to it.
Well, yeah, excitement's definitely the word. Even just something as small as a car unveiling. I mean, I've always loved those in the past. I got to cover one of Rick Hendrick's really exciting car unveils. I think it was for the 2017 season. It was the first year Jimmy had a black Lowe's car, and Alex Bowman was starting with the team. So it was a really exciting time, and he just had energetic music, and like the lights dimmed down and then the lights came up, and it was like kind of shook the ground. Like he did a lot of effort to make it like a fun event. I don't know what they're going to do for this one, but all I know is that from what I've seen from the cars, either in person or photos from Darlington a couple days ago, or whatever, the cars look incredible. Like they look so different. So there's a lot that they can do with this unveiling, because the cars they're the star of every event. I mean, you got the drivers behind them, but it's important that the cars look good. So to see them with all logoed up and with possibly numbers on the side and the official looks and what they're going to be like, I'm really excited for that. And Justin made a good point about, of course, the racing has to be good. When I covered the Charlotte Roval and Oval test, we had 2 cars out there, but I mean, these aren't 2-car races, you know. We barely have any 2-car teams anymore. Like there's just so many cars out there, and everyone's so close. And it's not until you get those restarts going, you know, how they get out of the pit stops, how they are, you know, running the high lane at certain tracks, running the low lane, long green flag runs, and definitely drafting for sure is a big one. So a lot to learn and a lot to look forward to for next year. A lot of questions still.
Well, excellent. We're going to go and explain why Seth is at GoPro Motorplex. I know that Seth was out there hanging out with Garrett Smithley and a lot of other drivers earlier today. You know, for those that don't know, GoPro, I kind of teased it a while ago. GoPro Motorplex is a partnership with Justin Marks, who owns Trackhouse Racing, and Michael McDowell. You know, get me an interview with Pitbull. Put Kicking the Tires on the side of the 99. I'm all good. I'm sorry. Seth, you know, what the heck is going on out at GoPro Motorplex?
Well, you can probably still hear some cars going around the track right now. The racing that I was watching earlier has already ended. The Monday Night Racing League from iRacing had their banquet in a 1-hour enduro here. Will Rogers and Nick Sanchez won Team Tryhard, as they call themselves. But it was a fun little event. There was a hard wreck between Ryan Vargas and Justin Melillo, which Vargas, quote, it was the hardest hit he's ever had.
Yeah. Didn't they do that in iRacing too? I mean, hadn't that happened like in virtual racing too? Because I know this is a Monday Night Racing League that used to be formerly sponsored by Kicking the Tires. So and Melillo runs another league that we actually sponsor now. So there is a tie-in here. Maybe there was some payback.
There's a couple of tie-ins, but Vargas and Melillo both had the wind knocked out of them. That's how hard of a hit it was. Oof. And Vargas sat for a half a lap on track without moving the car. They're both okay. They both continue to race, and Melillo somewhere over there. Vargas has already gone home. Here they come again.
And we can see them in the reflection.
At this point, the employees are testing out parts that were being worked on earlier in the day. So they're doing some live action testing right now.
Boom.
But yeah, I personally did not get on track today. I wasn't confident in my racing abilities with everything I've been through the past couple months. So I opted just to come and hang out and have some fun.
Well, awesome. Glad you're there. Can you fill us in on some iRacing news, since you did bring up the Monday Night Racing League, and you were hanging out with some bigwigs earlier today.
And that was Ford Martin, who just ran by. But for iRacing news, in NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Fingerman Sports Isaac Gann earned his first career win on fuel mileage at Auto Club Speedway, made just one pit stop, and cruised to victory with and that was Jeff McConey walking by. They're still having fun at this point here. But overall, in the Coca-Cola Series, there's been 5 races. There's been 5 different winners. And I can almost guarantee there's at least going to be another 2, if not 3 different winners this year.
What about the other league? What about for the fans racing league? How's Melillo's league going?
It's going good in Melillo's league. They just ran 62 cars in the Xfinity Series cars at Spa, the road course in Belgium.
Did I sponsor that?
That one you did not.
Okay.
And I'm backing up because there's going to be a couple cars coming by at some point.
Okay.
But overall, that league is a mix of iRacing pros, real life pros. As a matter of fact, the Ford Fans Racing League at Bristol had a pro slide into the race, both literally, figuratively, and winning, before he went on to win the NASCAR Pro Invitational, William Byron.
Of course.
There you go.
Because he's William Byron.
I was really
Yes.
hoping you would say it was going to be 62 cars on like Bristol or Martinsville
Or it's like an afternoon traffic jam in LA.
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
future California Speedway.
Awesome. Well, Seth, I'm going to let you, jump off of here and go do hang out with the racing guys so that you can get more information. I look forward to reading more about this later on in the week.
Yeah, you will be hearing about it more later on in the week. I'll probably have a story up on it probably by the time I'm in Martinsville, as a matter of fact, because I will be there this weekend. Honestly, I think the most interesting part were the driver swaps, because every 15 minutes they would do driver swap. So for Will Rogers and Nick Sanchez, they were the winners, but in part that was because of the wreck between Vargas and Melillo. And for Roger Carew from the NASCAR Drivers University and James Pike from Podium Esports, the two of them finished third. However, in part that was because of the driver swaps. They were just slow on driver swaps.
Interesting.
Cruz had the fastest lap overall.
You mentioned you're going to be at Martinsville. This is going to be your first race since Daytona.
Since Daytona last year, the Daytona 500.
Well, thank you for going out there in Martinsville and covering that for us. And I know you'll have a lot of fun and get us the best stories. Show us, flip the camera around. Show us the cars on the track. Justin, go to a wide screen and show everybody what's really happening out here at GoPro Motorplex.
There we go.
Seth, there you go.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. Let me.
I was going to say they are all the way on the backstretch right now.
That's fine.
So-
We'll hang here to watch them go by. Pan with them and follow them.
That's one track I've wanted to race at. I've had a lot of friends race there
Beautiful
in
night.
competitive sprint carts. Because these are the sport carts, I believe. Yeah, these are the sport carts. Wait, what do they sound like?
I mean, he doesn't have sound on, so I had to.
Meow, 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 meow. That's awesome.
Well, there you have it. Seth, go have fun. I appreciate your updates tonight, and we will see you at Martinsville.
Yep. Thank you, and take care.
Man, if we end up having a Wednesday night race, I'll have to do it right in the middle of the track, just like that. That'd be awesome.
All right, Zach, tell us, we got Darlington test this past week.
Yeah.
Tyler Reddick going into this test was bragging about not getting into the wall. He didn't have a Darlington stripe or something. I don't know exactly how this all went down, but apparently he does now.
Yeah, the lady heard him. The lady in black heard his wherever he said it. If he said it on Twitter or whatever, I guess she's on Twitter. And she saw it, and yeah, she bit him pretty good. Bit that sexy race car too, pretty good. And yeah, it didn't end on a good note. But I mean, I think when it comes to tests like that, it's all about just learning the car. It's, I mean, from what he was saying, it's a real big challenge. Certain things about that car are different from the Gen 6 right now. I mean, he said that he feels like he found something good for this car when they come back next year. The car is challenging, and he said when it came to that wreck in turn 1 and 2, the thing that really caught him off guard is that you can't yaw these cars out like you can the current car. which means when they're sideways, they kind of stick there. This one, I guess it tends to hook a little bit, and that got him in trouble. And he said it's a lot harder to simply hang on to these cars. And we know Darlington's one of the toughest tracks of the year. It's very, very common to hit walls. That's why we call them the Darlington Stripes. And they got that little counter going every race because it's just so common. And yeah, Reddick's usually tremendous there. I think he was one of the perfect guys to come and test that car at that certain track. I mean, I'd like to see him at Homestead if he hasn't already. I think that's a very similar type of track for him with good success. And I mean, I was watching the onboard footage. I mean, they had an onboard camera, I believe, in the right rear, which is just a perfect place for a camera. At Darlington.
Well, of course they had it in the right rear because they knew that he was going to get in the wall.
Yeah. It was wild. I mean, to see that wall just kind of jutting and curving all the way around, and he's just hugging right up against it. Super sick. And it's a tough place, but I feel like he learned a lot. He probably gave him a lot of data back that they really need. They're doing it at a lot of wide variety of racetracks. They just did it at Martinsville. They've done a road course before, and they've done quite a few different tracks. So to me, it was another successful test. I think even when they wreck, I think that's kind of success as well, because you have to know where that limit is. You know, I don't think we've seen too many incidents with these cars. But when you get to, I mean, they say that's one of the best things you can do as a rookie driver. He's not a rookie, but in that same kind of breath, when you wreck your car, you know where the limit is, and everyone can, look back at the data and see what happened in that incident, and another driver knows what these cars can handle. So I think it was an overall positive day, or positive day for Goodyear and everybody, and yeah, another one in the books.
Well, I can tell you this, they're about to destroy one of them. And if you hadn't heard this or not, I'm not sure, but NASCAR has to go through the safety plan. And in order to go through their safety plan, one of those cars is going to meet its demise. And I don't know if it's going to be the blue one that NASCAR built or the red and black one, the black with the red highlights that Action Express built. But one of those cars, maybe both of them, will be crashed at some point. Mark my words. I've already been told that that is in the works. I may look like a genius here. I may not, but I cut Seth off before he could talk about his story. Look, he lost Wi-Fi. He just texted me and said he lost Wi-Fi out at GoPro Motorplex. So he was fixing to get cut off anyway, but he didn't get to talk about his big story this week with Rick Ware Racing and Joey Gase honoring Davey Allison at Talladega with a Texaco number 28 paint scheme. And Texaco located literally 17 miles down the road is from where I'm at right now in Sour Lake, Texas. That's where it was founded at. So that's really cool. Zach, you're kind of a historian of the sport. I know, Justin, you do as well. But for me, from a personal aspect, for the Texaco tie-in, that's awesome, because that literally is up the street. So what are y'all thoughts on Rick Ware coming up with that paint scheme?
Well, I mean, ever since we got like the Darlington throwback race, I mean, we're kind of getting a little, I'm not going to say numb to seeing just kick-ass throwback schemes. But when it comes outside of Darlington, and when it's like a special place like Talladega, and obviously where Davey lost his life years and years ago. I never got to see him race. I wasn't even alive when he passed. But yeah, I love seeing stuff like this, and I think teams like Rick Ware and what Joey has done with the organ donation and all that. I mean, it's just they're always doing stuff like this, and for him to honor the Allison family, which has, I mean, NASCAR history is the Allison family. They're just one of those top 3 or 5 mega families in the sport, and they've had some of the worst hardships, the worst heartbreaks and tragedies of this sport, but they've also had some of the best success as well. So I think a tribute like this kind of highlights both the bad side that we know of and also the good side, kind of representing what the positives that Davey brought. And one of those was having one of the better schemes in NASCAR history, definitely one of the more popular ones. I mean, when it comes to 80s kids and kids who grew up in the 90s with the sport, I mean, this was one of the premier cars, seeing that was Texaco bright red and black car, and it led Davey to a lot of success. And I mean, it's Talladega, so I mean, Joey he's gotten a top 5 there before with Jimmy Means Racing, think 4 or 5 years ago. So he knows his way around, and anything can happen there. So I know it would be a tremendous win for sure, even if it's just the top 5, top 10 for a team like Rick and what they're doing, and just to have the Allison family kind of backing this whole thing. It's not just the tribute; they were in close communication with them, and they're kind of along for the ride. So just a really cool deal that they're doing, and they're going to have a lot of fans for both races that weekend for sure.
Yeah, and like you said, Zach, I kind of just missed Davey Allison when he died. I was only 3 years old, and so I really only got to watch his successors, a lot of Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett, when they drove the 28 Texaco car. In fact, who was it? Kenny Wallace drove it for a few times too as well. So those were the guys I ended up watching when I was growing up. But the cool thing about YouTube is you get to go back and watch those drivers that you had just missed. Like I've said on this show a couple of times, like Alan Kowicki's probably my all-time favorite guy that I've never gotten to be able to watch, and he was he died right when I was about that same age too. So just that's the cool part about YouTube, right? You can go back and watch some of those old videos that people have uploaded of those races and watch those drivers and those teams do it the old school way. So this is cool. It's a lot of, I think it's important to know the history of a lot of your sports, whether you're a hobbyist or it's your full-time career. It's just important to know the history, and not only that, but seeing these guys get together to support those who were the stars back in the 80s and 90s or whatever era you're coming from. It's pretty cool and pretty neat to see them honor, and especially in Allison, like you said too, Zach, Allison family, that's right up there with the Pettys and the Earnhardts. So a huge name out there, and this is going to be pretty cool to see out there in Talladega.
One more thing about YouTube, you can always go back and see our shows too if you'd like. Hit the like and subscribe and follow buttons there. Right there. They're right there. So and also, I'm not sure, did I say they were racing at Darlington, or did I say Talladega? And the reason I say that is because I'm looking at my show notes, and I couldn't tell if I couldn't remember if I said Darlington or Talladega. Obviously, they are in Talladega with that throwback car, even though Darlington is like coming up as well. So I don't know if I bloopered, but if I did, I'm sure somebody will point it out to us.
Yeah.
Justin, Noah Gragson, he's your buddy. He's your pal.
Oh yeah.
What do you know about him? Is he? I tell you who he might not be pals with, and that's Daniel Hemric.
Yeah, so if you don't remember, Daniel Hemric and him were having a hugging match because they're just big old bros, right?
Dude, I have photos.
Family. Yeah, you have photos of them hugging, right? So, yeah. So obviously, Xfinity getting back into session here after the Bristol Dirt Race, and then our off weekend here with Easter. So Xfinity back on the map. They're going to be racing here at Martinsville with the Cup Series, so the trucks get another weekend off as well. But if you remember, if we go back to Atlanta, they had a little scuffle back there on pit road. I guess Daniel Hemric slid just a tad bit too far forward, and Gragson felt it was egregious in a certain way and put his car in reverse and punched a hole in the nose of the 18.
That's not how that went down. I'm going to clarify you. Okay. Hemric slid through his pit because the car behind him was out of shape getting into its pit. And I think that was Anthony Alfredo. I'm not 100% sure. But Hemric slid through, and then Noah tried to come in. And when Noah came in, he was out of shape and couldn't pit the car because he was so far out of his pit. He had a tire outside the box. So he was going to get a penalty. His crew chief told him, put it in reverse, go back. And when he did, he went back too far and got into Hemric, but he almost hit a crew guy. But he's not paying attention. You can't see outside of the there's no like real rear view mirror. So what Hemric felt like it was an egregious violation because Noah was ticked off that Hemric was in his box and got him out of shape, so Noah flipped him off. What neither one of them knew was what had really happened when you watch the whole video and see there was no ill intent or harm intended by Noah. Noah's can be a a kind of an aggressor and kind of a jerk sometimes, but I like him. I really do. And I don't think he's got a spiteful bone in his body to do something just to hurt someone. That's not who he is. I mean, if I had to pick a guy in the garage that can be a fireball, but can also be the coolest dude to hang out with, that would be Noah. And so they did come to blows after the race. If that punch would have landed, it'd have been a lot different story. But NASCAR not penalizing anybody, so that's the real story. Everybody was saying he should have been thrown out. He did not know what was going on. He was just doing what his crew chief told him, and NASCAR found no fault.
Right.
But they, I guess, are going to talk. For the first time in 3 weeks.
Yeah, so Noah finally announced that he was going to try to give Hemric a call before the Martinsville race. Not sure why he's waiting this long to do so, but
because it's Martinsville.
Well, that too, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he has tried to call a few times, and Hemric's just looked at the caller ID and just hit the little blinking red dot. Who knows? But
let's call Daniel and find out.
Yeah, hey, just spoof your number and make it look like Noah. Yep, I got hung up on.
Got hung up on.
But yeah, we'll see how this boils out over the next few weeks. We know we've got a lot of stories like that in Cup and Truck as well. So this is just another duo to toss into the mixing bowl, as you might as well put it. The cool line, I did like this line from Hemric where he said he punched a hole in my car, so I'm gonna punch a hole in his eye. I guess we're even. So
yeah, dotted his eye. Hey, that happens. This is NASCAR. I like the aggression. I like the fire. That's what we need. We need some rivalries and stuff. So. And NASCAR looked at all the video. They went back and looked at the overhead video from each pit. I don't know if you know this, but each pit box has video of the stop from overhead. And then NASCAR's got all their cameras up on the grandstands shooting to the pit stops so they know every aspect of what happens. Then they've got cameras on the guys' helmets of some of these crew guys. So NASCAR gets access to all of that video. They made their call after looking at all the evidence, and everything was good. And they brought them in there. They don't want any problems. But Zach, you've seen this before with drivers. We've seen these guys get crossways before. It's not always Noah. It can be anybody in the garage. Joey Logano's kind of a lightning rod himself.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely have all the cameras you want, but there's one place that you're never going to know, and that's inside the helmet, of course, when it comes to what these guys.
Yep.
So maybe they'll have some mind control pill that they'll give the drivers before every race, and they will know for sure when something is done blatant, or when something's done with purpose, or when they can say, oh, it was do like a Matt Kenseth when he took out Logano and said, oh, I lost a tire. Or they're always going to say stuff like that because honestly, there's no way you can really prove it. Unless they have white gloves on, which I love, by the way.
And then this wasn't
gloves, and when you see them go like this, it's over.
Yeah, but isn't the COVID vaccine supposed to be a microchip according to all the conspiracy? So maybe they can control your brain through the microchip of the COVID vaccine to make you not do stupid stuff on the track.
That's a whole other podcast.
Well, it
we'll
doesn't
come back
even have
in
to
a
be.
couple weeks when Jerry gets his, and then
There you
we'll
go.
see how that goes.
It doesn't even have to be people fighting. I mean, look at Bubba Wallace. Remember where he said he spun out intentionally and he had to face a big old fine, and then everyone in the garage area learned, I don't know what you're talking about. Spinning.
You mean they didn't learn that from Dale Jr. when he did it at several years ago, and he said, and then he gets fined. I mean, come on.
And then Clint Boyer did it at Richmond that one year, and then that's how we got the controversial 13th playoff driver. Yeah.
And I think Robbie Gordon threw a water bottle out the window one time. I mean, come on. This is NASCAR. We're known to bend the rules, so and kind of skew things. But
and Tony Stewart still, in my opinion, has got the best two-handed swing when it comes to throwing a helmet right across someone's hood. That's
I was
still...
at that race, and you can see me in the interview in the infield care center.
Hey, you can.
Yeah.
And, I'm gonna reckon every chance I got, and you had like the funniest face. I remember seeing that.
He is Tony's a great dude, by the way. He's just y'all know. He's fun to hang out with. But we are going into Martinsville, okay? And Oh, wait, I'm jumping ahead. Justin, you got to tell us about Atlanta Motor Speedway because even though the Gragson stuff started there, Supercross is going there for the first time. I want to wrap this show up with Martinsville Cup predictions because I've been doing pretty darn good in the Xfinity series.
Yeah, so like you said, Atlanta Motor Speedway going to add their names to the list of hosting a Supercross/motocross race, so it'll be cool. I know they've actually been interested in it. Just Feld had the contract with other venues at the time. They used to race over at Fulton County Stadium. That's where the Atlanta Braves played for like 30 years and stuff like that. They host an NFL team. I even think a soccer team at one point too. So now they've obviously moved out and they're all in their own new stadiums, or newer, I should say.
Ted built them a new stadium or something.
Yeah, they got money somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, this will be cool. And there's a couple other speedways. If you don't know, Supercross actually races at some other racetracks as well. And then obviously with COVID, it's kind of thrown a wrench into everything too. But they had Daytona earlier this year, and that's where they raced right in the tri-oval grass. Daytona kind of being one of their crown jewels, as you might as well say. But
leads into Bike Week. By the way, that leads into Bike Week with all the stuff it's like 2 weeks or a week and a half of nothing but motorcycles. And it's right after we leave Daytona. It's like a week and a half after we leave, the track.
Yeah.
After the 500 and the road course.
I was going to say the 500 and the road course, not just the 500, but because usually they had a few weeks to do it. Now, like you said, they only had like a week and a half to get all the dirt in there and start making the track. So a lot of overtime on that front. But yeah, so a triple header going into this week. So Supercross has had, I want to say, 3 weekends off now. So it'll be interesting to see who kind of has that mental game still in there. Tomac's got some ground to make up. Obviously, the main battle has been between Cooper Webb and Ken Roczen. Tomac had a pretty good, strong start to the year, but really has not really been up to the pace as Cooper Webb and Ken Roczen. So it'll really come down to those two. Roczen down by 12, so we'll see what happens there. Hunter Lawrence doing well in the 250 class for the West Division, and Jet Lawrence trying to make up a little bit of ground in the East, but it's really between Christian Craig and I believe Colt Nichols over there as well. So it'll be interesting, and then they'll have a couple more rounds and then the big old showdown for the 250 at the end of the year. That's kind of the one big lump sum, and that's really where everyone's looking forward to seeing Lawrence against Lawrence, as well as trying to figure out who's going to win the 250 East and West Championship.
Well, since the last two stories have been kind of surrounding Atlanta Motor Speedway, I have this box right here, okay, and it is from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I'm going to open it because I have not opened it. I've not opened this FedEx box. I have an idea of what's in here. Well, we're going to give this away to a lucky fan. I'm going to have to reship it if I can get the box open, but
what if it's like an iPad or something?
Do what?
That? What if there's something incredible inside? Now you have to give it away.
Yeah, I know. Well, I get to editor's note. I get to pick what I'm sending and what I'm keeping, but I have a feeling I already know what it is. A Folds of Honor backpack, but it's not a backpack. It's not. Trust me.
Is it one of those Camelbacks?
It's got some stuff inside. It's got a hat. It's got a towel. It is a cooler. It is a cooler. Oh, you've got one of the hats. That's right. You were up there.
Nice.
But it is a cooler.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give this away. So we'll give this away on Twitter or something. But some lucky fan's going to get a Quick Trip backpack cooler because I already have one.
Boom.
Yeah.
Now let's move to Martinsville. What are your predictions? I'm just going to get mine out of the way. Noah Gragson's going to win the Xfinity race, and probably Kyle Larson's going to win the Cup race. So I'm done. That's all. I've got my picks out of the way. Y'all can't steal them from me now.
Well, those weren't my picks either way. For Xfinity, I have Harrison Burton. He's starting on pole. He's had a quiet start to the year, but he's been decent. He's been there. I believe he has 2 or 3 top fives. He's coming off a third at Atlanta. He's the defending winner at Martinsville. He got on a bit of a roll there at the end of the season with back-to-back wins. So I think it might work out for him this time. Then once we get to the Cup Series, going to go with Ryan Blaney. I think for the first time, he's going to have a multi-win Cup Series season. I believe the last 5 straight years, he's had 1 win. And he did the same thing in the Truck Series. I think he had 4 straight years with 1 win. So he rarely wins twice a year, but I think this is the year where he's finally starting to close in. And what he did at Atlanta was just a complete shocker. You know, that's usually how he loses races. He dominates and then loses it late. This time, he got the better of Larson and won it at the end. But him at Martinsville has just been incredible. He's got 4 straight top 5s there. Second place the last 2 races. He dominated there in 2018. So it truly is maybe his best track of the year. So he's going to have great track position. So I'm going to go with Blaney for the Cup Series, and then Harrison Burton Xfinity.
Well, he'll dominate, and then my guy will pass him.
Oh, he's going to get him back this time?
Yeah, he's getting back for Atlanta. Justin, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm going to say Austin Cindric is going to take the win in Xfinity. He hasn't won on a short track. I was kind of surprised. So when I'm looking at his resume here with the Xfinity Series, he does not have a short track win. And Phoenix is not a short track. So there, I said it. At me, I dare you. But yeah, so my pick is going to be Austin Cindric to get his first career short track win. He's going to take home a clock. And I'm going to keep on the bandwagon of not first time winners, but people going on with their first win of 2021. And I'm going to say Kyle Busch is going to take home a clock and lock himself into the playoffs this year.
That was going to be my pick, to be honest with you. The problem is that I have to think back to how many times Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson have won at Martinsville, and how Chad Knaus is like a genius, and he's working on all the cars right now at Hemric Motorsports, not just the 48, and how that will probably translate the best for Kyle Larson and his running style of kind of hanging it up at the top. And I just see that as my reason for going with Larson over Kyle Busch.
I think Byron might be another good pick. I remember he almost won here. William Byron, he almost won here just a couple of years ago. Maybe it was last year with Truex. He finished second. He's got good track position, and he's been on a quiet run this year with 5 straight top 10s, but that's the type of consistency that he needs, and he's already won this year. So, and he's under that Hendrick umbrella. So, Byron would be a good pick as well. He's not my pick, but he's like my second guy in line.
That is a definitely a favorite. And I haven't even looked at the odds yet to see who is who would be the best Vegas odds to win. So I have no clue who's the favorite officially going into Martinsville. But that is going to do it for us here at Kicking the Tires. Seth will be at Martinsville to fill in everything for us. I will be at COTA. Zach, I think you're going to be at Darlington. Is that the plan?
Richmond, possibly. Yeah, Richmond.
Okay.
And then Darlington after that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we will. We are trying to have reporters at as many tracks as we possibly can, and we appreciate everybody tuning in and Kicking the Show and reading us and all of our content at kickingthetires.net. We'll see you guys next week.